Suitsupply is the Dutch company whose suits brought down an empire worth billions. While Men's Wearhouse, Jossinet Bank, and even the legendary Brooks Brothers crumbled into bankruptcy, a Dutch entrepreneur selling suits from the trunk of his car built a fashion revolution worth $400 million that redefined how men buy formal wear forever. This is the story of Suitsupply, the company that proved you could deliver Armani-quality tailoring at 1/5 the price, and in doing so, exposed the massive con game that traditional menswear had been running for decades. It is a tale of disruption so complete that it did not just steal market share, it fundamentally changed what consumers expect from the entire industry, becoming a defining force in the retail apocalypse that claimed so many traditional brands. The story begins in 1999 with Fokke de Jong, a University of Amsterdam student who had just escaped what he called the soul-crushing world of corporate life at Procter & Gamble. De Jong discovered something that would change everything. He did not hate business. He hated bad business. The brief stint at Procter & Gamble taught him that corporate bureaucracy was his enemy. And it also gave him something invaluable, an understanding of how bloated, inefficient systems could be dismantled. Armed with nothing but a Renault station wagon and an audacious belief that the entire menswear industry was fundamentally broken, de Jong launched Suitsupply in 2000. The business model was almost embarrassingly simple. Source the same Italian fabrics that luxury brands used, manufacture suits with the same attention to detail, and cut out every middleman, every department store markup, and every unnecessary cost that had inflated suit prices into the stratosphere. I was a student, so I was on a budget, de Jong later explained, and I saw that there was a great opportunity to provide a high-end product for a more reasonable price point by going directly to consumers. This was not just about saving money, it was about exposing an industry-wide scam that had convinced men they needed to spend thousands for quality, while competitors like Indochino and Bonobos were also emerging to challenge traditional retail. The traditional suit business had evolved into what de Jong and his team recognized as a bifurcated market with a massive gap in the middle. On one end, you had ultra-expensive retailers like Ermenegildo Zegna and Canali charging $3,000 to $5,000 for suits, justifying those prices through brand prestige and elaborate retail experiences. On the other end, discount retailers were pushing low-quality garments that looked decent on the rack, but fell apart after a few wears. Meanwhile, the middle ground, quality suits at reasonable prices, had been completely abandoned. This abandonment wasn't accidental. It was the result of decades of industry consolidation and a distribution system that prioritized profit margins over value. Traditional brands would create their suits, sell them to agents, who would then sell them to wholesale parties, who would finally get them to department stores. Each step added cost without adding value, and by the time a suit reached the consumer, its price had multiplied several times over. De Jong saw this complexity as an opportunity. While established brands were trapped in their own distribution networks, unable to change without cannibalizing their existing relationships, Suitsupply could start fresh with a vertically integrated approach that controlled every step, from fabric sourcing to final sale. But vertical integration meant making hard choices that established brands weren't willing to make. When Suitsupply decided to manufacture in China, industry observers predicted failure. The conventional wisdom held that serious suiting required European craftsmanship, and Chinese manufacturing was synonymous with cheap, disposable fashion. De Jong challenged this assumption head-on. He said Suitsupply decided to produce in China not because the company wanted to make something cheaper, but because it was the only place in the world that could make the products the way the company wanted. China has people who are eager to learn, great quality of work, and the world's best manufacturing. This was not just about cost. It was about finding manufacturing partners who were willing to invest in the level of precision that Suitsupply demanded. The results spoke for themselves. By 2011, when the Wall Street Journal conducted a blind test comparing a $614 Suitsupply suit against a $3,625 Armani, both testers concluded that the Suitsupply matched the Armani in quality, with no discernible difference that could justify a price gap of $3,000. This wasn't just a victory for Suitsupply, it was a damning indictment of an entire industry that had been charging premium prices for standard quality. The Wall Street Journal test became a watershed moment that legitimized Suitsupply's claims and exposed the emperor's new clothes reality of luxury menswear pricing. Fashion industry insider Tim Gunn became a convert, declaring that the suit he was currently wearing cost him $500, which meant he could have fun, because if he spent thousands on a suit, he would have to wear it over and over again. He said he had not been back to Saks, Bergdorf's, or Barney's since. But Suitsupply's disruption went beyond just pricing. The company reimagined every aspect of the suit buying experience, starting with store locations. While traditional menswear retailers fought for prime real estate in expensive shopping districts, De Jong deliberately chose unconventional locations near airports and business centers. This strategy served multiple purposes. Lower rent meant better prices for customers, and the locations attracted the exact demographic Suitsupply was targeting: traveling businessmen who needed quality suits but did not want to pay luxury prices. This locational strategy reflected a deeper understanding of changing consumer behavior. The new generation of suit buyers did not want to spend their Saturday afternoons browsing department stores. They wanted efficient, high-quality service that fit into their busy professional lives. Suitsupply's locations near airports allowed customers to handle alterations and purchases during their commutes, transforming suit buying from a special occasion into a convenient routine. The company's approach to staffing was equally revolutionary. Traditional menswear retailers often relied on commission-based sales with limited product knowledge. Suitsupply instituted Suit School, a rigorous training program where employees learned the fundamentals of suits, fabrics, and etiquette. This investment in education created a sales force that could genuinely advise customers rather than just process transactions. As Suitsupply grew, its success began to expose the fundamental weaknesses of traditional menswear retailers. Companies like Men's Wearhouse and Suitsupply Bank had built their businesses on a different model entirely, one that prioritized volume sales and promotional gimmicks over quality and value. Suitsupply Bank's infamous "buy one suit, get 3 free" promotions epitomized everything wrong with the traditional approach. These deals did not just destroy profit margins, they destroyed brand credibility by signaling that the suits had no inherent value. Meanwhile, Suitsupply was building genuine brand equity by delivering consistent quality at transparent prices. Their suits retailed between $400 and $800, using the same Italian fabrics from mills like Vitale Barberis Canonico and Reda from Italy's Biella textile district, the same Super 110s and Super 150s wools that luxury brands used for suits, costing 5 times as much. The company's half-canvas construction techniques matched what you would find on Savile Row, but at a fraction of the price. This was not a race to the bottom, it was a race to rational pricing. The company's growth trajectory validated this approach. From a single store in the Netherlands in 2000, Suitsupply expanded to over 100 international locations by 2019, generating approximately $400 million revenue. The expansion was not just about quantity, it was about proving that the direct-to-consumer model could work across different cultures and markets. Suitsupply's international success challenged another industry assumption, that menswear was inherently local. Traditional retailers argued that suit preferences varied dramatically by region, requiring local sourcing and customization. Suitsupply proved that quality and value were universal languages. Whether in New York, London, or Shanghai, customers responded to the same proposition: exceptional suits at honest prices. The company's entry into Asian markets was particularly telling. Maybe 10 years ago, we would have found it extremely difficult to sell a suit in China, where everything was about logos and brands, De Jong observed. But right now, the timing for us is perfect. This timing reflected a global shift in consumer values, where younger, educated buyers were increasingly skeptical of paying premium prices for brand names alone. Suitsupply's marketing approach further differentiated it from traditional competitors. While established brands relied on conservative, safe advertising that appealed to older demographics, Suitsupply embraced controversial, sexually charged campaigns that generated massive media attention. The Shameless campaign, featuring provocative imagery, was criticized by some as sexist, but praised by others as bold and memorable. Even more significantly, Suitsupply's 2018 Find Your Perfect Fit campaign featured same-sex couples, making it one of the first major menswear brands to explicitly embrace LGBTQ+ customers. The campaign lost 15,000 social media followers, but it gained over 30,000 new ones. That demonstrated that authentic brand positioning could actually strengthen customer loyalty, even when it alienated some segments. These marketing choices were not just about generating buzz. They reflected a deeper understanding of changing demographics. Suitsupply was building a brand for younger, more diverse, more socially conscious consumers who expected companies to take stands on important issues. Traditional menswear brands, constrained by their need to appeal to conservative customer bases, could not compete in this new landscape. The COVID-19 pandemic provided the ultimate stress test for both Suitsupply's model and the traditional menswear industry. As offices closed and dress codes relaxed, demand for suits plummeted across the board. Suitsupply's revenue dropped 39% in 2020, resulting in a loss of €109.7 million. But this decline, while significant, was survivable because the company had built a sustainable business model based on real value creation rather than financial engineering. Traditional retailers weren't so fortunate. Tailored Brands, the parent company of Men's Wearhouse and Joss. A bank filed for bankruptcy in August 2020, crushed by $1.4 billion in debt and a business model that had been failing long before the pandemic. The company had been losing market share for years to newer brands and services like Suitsupply, and COVID-19 simply accelerated an inevitable collapse. Even more shocking was the bankruptcy of Brooks Brothers, a company that had survived the Civil War, 2 World Wars, and the Great Depression. Founded in 1818, Brooks Brothers had dressed U.S. presidents from Abraham Lincoln to Barack Obama and had generated over $991 million in sales the year before its bankruptcy filing. The company's collapse demonstrated that heritage and prestige were no longer enough to sustain a business that couldn't deliver contemporary value. The bankruptcy of these industry giants wasn't just about temporary pandemic disruption. It represented the culmination of a fundamental shift in how consumers evaluate menswear purchases. The old model of charging premium prices for brand prestige had been exposed as unsustainable when companies like Suitsupply could deliver equivalent or superior quality at dramatically lower prices. Suitsupply's recovery from the pandemic demonstrated the resilience of its business model. By 2024, the company had not only returned to pre-pandemic revenue levels, but was projecting 25 to 30% growth for 2025. This recovery was driven by several factors: increased demand for in-store tailoring services as offices reopened, expansion of existing stores in key markets like London, and continued growth in online sales. The company's digital strategy evolved significantly during the pandemic. Suitsupply.com generated $173 million in revenue in 2024, with December 2025 alone accounting for over $17 million in online sales and 50,301 transactions. The website's average order value of $325 to $350 demonstrated that customers were willing to make significant purchases online when they trusted the brand's quality and service. This digital success reflected years of investment in technology and logistics that traditional retailers had failed to make. While companies like Men's Wearhouse had treated e-commerce as an afterthought, Suitsupply built integrated online and offline experiences that allowed customers to research online, try on in stores, and receive alterations through a unified system. The company's current expansion strategy reveals confidence in the long-term future of formal menswear, despite predictions that remote work would permanently reduce suit demand. De Jong rejected stories that people were only going to buy sweatpants and sit around watching Netflix for the next 10 years, and that they would stop buying suits. This optimism is backed by data showing that while suit purchases declined during peak lockdown periods, they rebounded as professional activities resumed. Suitsupply's impact extends far beyond its own success. The company has forced the entire menswear industry to reconsider fundamental assumptions about pricing, quality, and customer service. Competitors have been compelled to improve their value propositions or risk becoming irrelevant. Even luxury brands have had to justify their pricing more explicitly when customers can easily compare them to Suitsupply alternatives. The company has also demonstrated that sustainability and profitability can coexist. Suitsupply is carbon neutral from sheep to shop, has been awarded Corporate Social Responsibility Leader status by the Fair Wear Foundation for 5 consecutive years, and sources over 80% of its fabrics from biodegradable and renewable sources. This environmental focus appeals to younger consumers who consider sustainability a key factor in purchasing decisions. Looking forward, Suitsupply's challenge is maintaining its disruptive edge as it becomes increasingly established. The company that once sold suits from a car trunk now operates in 25 countries and employs thousands of people. Growth brings complexity, and complexity can erode the simplicity and efficiency that originally enabled Suitsupply's competitive advantage. The brand's expansion into women's wear through Studio in 2017 represents one attempt to leverage its core competencies into new markets. If successful, this expansion could open entirely new revenue streams while applying the same direct-to-consumer principles that revolutionized men's suiting. The story of Suitsupply is ultimately about more than suits. It is about the power of questioning industry orthodoxy and building businesses around customer value rather than industry convention. De Jong and his team did not just create a successful company, they exposed how an entire industry had prioritized profit extraction over customer service, and they provided a blueprint for how disruptors can challenge even the most established business models. The bankruptcies of Men's Wearhouse, Goliath Bank, and Brooks Brothers were not tragic accidents. They were the inevitable result of business models that had become disconnected from customer needs. These companies had confused brand heritage with customer value and premium pricing with quality delivery. When a competitor emerged that could actually deliver on the promises they had been making for decades, their weaknesses were exposed as fatal flaws. Today, when a man walks into a Suitsupply store and walks out with a $500 suit that rivals anything costing $3,000 elsewhere, he is experiencing the end result of one of retail's most complete disruptions. That transaction represents the victory of transparency over opacity, efficiency over tradition, and customer value over industry inertia. The revolution that began in the trunk of a Renault station wagon has fundamentally changed how an industry operates, proving that sometimes the most powerful disruption comes not from new technology, but from the simple act of giving customers what they actually want at prices they can actually justify. In an era when so many industries claim to be customer-focused while remaining fundamentally self-serving, Suitsupply's success stands as proof that authentic customer centricity remains the most powerful competitive advantage of all.